May it please Your Honor, Joseph Namato for prosecution. And I'm appearing together with Jural and Wabani. By his hand, the chief state attorneys, Your Worship. And this appeal will be paid in senior state attorney. Your Honor, A1 and A3 but A2 is not here. And for A1 and A3, Mr. Michael Amasebu, Mr. Jude Yamkama, and Mr. John Musime jointly appear for them. Your Honor, A2 has still not returned to court. Although we served a criminal summons that were issued by this honorable court. But appearing for him is Mr. Paul Kutesa, Your Worship. The case is for ruling on the bail application that was made by accused number 1. We are ready to receive the ruling.
Your Honor, with the indulgence.
Just a moment.
Your Honor, Paul Kutesa, I am appearing for A2, Abaho Joshua. Your Honor, he is not here. Your Honor, A2, about these proceedings. A2 learned about these proceedings through the media, because he was not, when the matter came up last Thursday, he was not summoned, he was not arrested. He had been on bond, on police bond, which was not cancelled, he was not caught by the police. So that's why he didn't come last Thursday. Your Honor, I've heard that the summons were issued by this court, but they have not been served on him personally, because I believe he took leave from his office on Wednesday last week, 5th of April, on medical grounds, because his wife on that day had got a miscarriage and he was had a serious health challenge. He was admitted in high dependency unit at Nakasero Hospital. He is the sole person who has been attending to her.
Is that the reason for non-attendance today?
Yes, Your Honor, and I'm going to explain to you.
No, it's because I look at you when I do.
Yes.
In other words, pardon.
Yes, Your Honor. The accused person is currently, as I speak, attending to his wife who got a medical condition and has been in the HDU, High Dependence Unit. He is the sole caretaker. When he learned about these proceedings, he instructed us yesterday. We found out that they are coming up today. And Your Honor, he could not come because he is the sole person attending to this person who is seriously ill. He is seeking the indulgence of court to come within the next 2 days. He has made arrangements to get another caretaker who I believe will be available tonight, and he will be able to attend to court. We accordingly, Your Honor, pray that the court gives him indulgence, extend those summons that were issued, and at the earliest convenience, even tomorrow, Your Honor, he will be able to appear in court and answer to the charges that were leveled against him. I so pray, Your Honor.
Defense on behalf of the council, on behalf of everyone, and can I believe that you're ready to receive the ruling?
That's correct, Your Honor. We are ready to receive your ruling.
The applicant, that is L1 Kitutu Medical Kimono, made this application through lawyers, relying on Articles 23, Sub-Article 6A, and 28, Sub-Article 3 of the Constitution, Section 75 and Section 77 of the Magistrates Court Act, the High Court Anti-Corruption Division Case Management Rules 2021, and the Court Bail Guidelines Practice Directions 2022. The application was argued out by Counsel Michael Wamasebo. Counsel submitted on the conditions for consideration for bail or grounds for bail application as per the guidelines, and I'm going to ask that I skip the submission by counsel. We were all here, we had them. And then the prosecution also has a team of prosecutors that is representing it, led by Madame Josephine, who argued out the reply that is in opposition to the application, majorly relying on the sections section 77 of the Magistrates Court Act, and the affidavit that she adopted as part of her submission. And this is where this court's mind begins from. To begin with, this court takes note that during the submissions, there were lots of sentiments that kept popping out, but this court will not be swayed away by any. What should be noted is that all persons are equal before the law. All persons that are alleged to have come into conflict with the law enjoy the doctrine of presumption of innocence, and that bail is granted at the discretion of court. Much as bail is granted or denied at the discretion of court, this discretion must be exercised judiciously, and this is why there are conditions provided for under the law for court to consider when entertaining a bail application. As mentioned by counsel for the applicant in arguing the application, there are conditions to be considered as provided for under Section 77 of the Magistrates Court Act, the High Court Anti-Corruption Division Case Management Rules 2021, and the Constitution, Bail Guidelines for Courts of Judicature, Practice Directions 2020. Before going into the merits of this application, this court takes note that for the applicant in rejoinder, counsel for the applicant prayed that court should not rely on the affidavit in opposition of bail, and actually invited this court to strike the same of its record for the reasons already seen, that is as per the submissions. In this regard, first and foremost, this application is an oral one, which is permissible in magistrates' court, and the reply to the same is also oral. So for the respondent to be able to make a substantive reply to the same, there are some evidence that can only be adduced in court by way of an affidavit, since in the absence of the same, such submission that includes evidence in the absence of an affidavit remains evidence at bar, which is not admissible. So it is not strange or out of order that in this application, the prosecution is relying on an affidavit to raise its objection to the bail application. The other aspect is that the condition or considerations or grounds for bail are not a secret. They are embedded in our laws as mentioned above. Because evidence may come out at the level of reply, at the level of reply that is detrimental to the applicant's application by virtue of guideline 13, sub-guideline 4 of the Constitution, 8 guidelines for courts of judicature, Practice Directions 2020, courts are called upon to give the applicant an opportunity to rebut the claims of the prosecution before court decides whether to grant or deny the applicant bail. So the submission that this affidavit was filed before the application was made has no merit. Then as to the contention that the applicant's lawyer raised in regard to whether the deponent of the affidavit was able to do all that is claimed he did, like appearing before the commissioner of oath and doing all that was done within the short time, Instead of counsel wondering whether this was magic as submitted, he should have made an application for the deponent of this affidavit to appear in court for him to examine him. I find that his submission in regard to the integrity of the affidavit has no merit. In regard to the annexures not being exhibited, looking at the same, they were and marked A, B, C. So in conclusion, in regard to the integrity of this affidavit before this court finds that the same is proper before it. Considering the submissions made in objection to the bail application in regard to nature of the offence, gravity of the offence, interfering with witnesses and inquiries, this court will not delve in these as looking at the manner in which the submissions have been made. Delving into these will only be seen to be touching the presumption of innocence. The submissions went deeper than they could have gone. In objection, the prosecution submitted that the applicant did not heed to summons, though to summons through and from the Right Honourable Prime Minister to appear before the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, that is the Uganda Police Force, as reflected in paragraphs 8 and 7 of the affidavit in opposition to the bail application. I must concur with the application as submitted in rejoinder, or I must concur with the submissions as made in rejoinder by her counsel that there is no proof of service upon the applicant, and so this ground of application has no merit. There is also nowhere that the prosecution probably simply indicated that she did receive the document, as can be seen on the documents. Getting to the submission that court should consider that the offences involve no violence, this court sides with the prosecution that this is not a condition in application in offences of such a nature, and especially the offences that this court handles. For the ground of the possibility of delay, the applicant has not presented to this court any evidence by way of statistics to back up this claim. And as well noted by the prosecution, this court is guided by the High Court Anti-Corruption Division Case Management Rules 2021, which provides for timelines from when matters are first registered, and guides on the procedure and the time to be taken at each stage. Moving to the sureties, counsel for the applicant, among other statutes or laws, relied on the High Court Anti-Corruption Division Case Management Rules as one of the laws upon which the application is premised. Looking at Rule 7A, the same provides that the court shall, before considering any person to stand a surety for an accused person, determine that the person has the capacity to compel the accused person to attend trial. Already as well submitted to by the prosecution, surety number 2, Mr. Simon Mulongo, is said to be a former member of parliament and a diplomat working as a special envoy to the African Union. Pardon me there. Already as well submitted to by the prosecution, surety number 2, Mr. Simon Mulongo, who is said to be a former member of parliament and a diplomat working as a special envoy to the African Union, falls short of this requirement, as the nature of the office that Council claims he holds will require him in and out of the jurisdiction of this court, which is out of the country, hence compromising his ability to be able to compel always ensure that the applicant attends court whenever need arises. For the submission based on the sureties 2, sureties 3, Honorable Say Wambede, and 4, Dr. Jural Wandawa, being friends to the applicant, and their capacity to compel her to attend court not having been demonstrated, this court finds that, as per the record, the applicant's counsel did explain the friendships, so this objection has no merit. Then turning to Rule 7, Sub-Rule B of the same rules, the other aspect is that court should determine whether the sureties have the capacity to meet the terms of the bond. I do concur with the prosecution on all fours in this regard and find that the case laws as cited are very relevant to this matter. Counsel submitted that these are not economic, as there is no monetary value attached. Indeed, there is no monetary value attached to the iron sheets, but Rule 7b of the above rules are very clear. It does not restrict itself to economic crimes, but also, needless to say, definitely the iron sheets have value, including monetary value. It is a requirement that financial capability of the sureties are demonstrated, and this was clearly elaborated upon in the case of Tefera, which I had already cited earlier on, in the submission as made by the state, which is on record. Bank statements can be presented, and all employment identity cards or documents showing registration, documents showing that a business is licensed, generally a document that shows that whatever the person thinks he does to earn a living generally generates some income. It is on the surety to Honorable Wambede said Chizanji Massa, as the names appear in the employment identity card, who has presented before this court proof of employment as the current member of parliament from Bale City. I must say, the earnings of MPs is sufficient for one to be considered as a surety, especially in this court. I find that he is the only surety who passes the test of Rule 7, Sub-Rule B of the above rules, and he is the only surety that this court finds substantial. For the rest of the sureties, mere mention of places of work, designation, being honorable, prominent persons in society is not sufficient. In light of all this, I find surety 1, Mr. Kitutu Michael George, surety 2, Mr. Simon Mulongo, surety 4, Mr. Wandewa Joel, not substantial. Before I wind up, this court is in receipt of such information in regard to the pieces of land mentioned in the submissions above by both the prosecution and applicant. From the information that I received, both sides actually went to research. So both sides gave you results of their search, and both sides confirmed to this court that the titles that were presented before it are genuine, and have confirmed that the said pieces of land belong to A1. Needless to note, there appears to be a new aspect that arose in the letter that is by the prosecution, and that was value of land. That did not appear when we were sitting here, and this court will not delve into the same. In conclusion of this application, therefore, this court finds no merit in all the grounds of objection raised by the prosecution, save for those raised in regard to the sureties not found to be substantial, as they do not meet the requirements of Rule 7b of the rules of this court. Much as this court finds that surety 3 is substantial,
Mr. Warwa Tadeo is the LC3 chairman of Buhaweka Sub-County. We are presenting his documents, including the recommendation from the LCs, and his identity card as an employee of Manafa District Local Government, where he serves as an LC3 chairperson. The original is here with us. Your Honor, Mr. Tadeo Warwa is 42 years of age. He is also a subsistence farmer, and is a brother-in-law of the accused person, A3. 42 years. He is a subsistence farmer and LC3 chairperson of Buhaweka Sub-County in Manafa District. Your Honor, we have his documents, the original identity card, the recommendation from his LOCs for your consideration, Your Honor. You may sit. Your Honor, can I go to the second surety? Much obliged, Your Honor. The second surety is Irene Mangali Haiza. She's in court. She's aged 62 years, a resident of Buketera B village in Buhaweka Town Board in Bubulo County, which is in Manafa District. Your Honor, Irene is a retired resident district commissioner, having retired in July 2012. where she was an employee of the Office of the President. Your Honor, Irene is also very importantly a Prime Minister in the Inzu Yamasaba Cultural Institution, which is the cultural institution. Inzu Yamasaba, Inzu. Yes. She's a paternal aunt of the accused person. Your Honor, I have the pleasure to tender her documents, which include the national ID and her letters of appointment to those two positions I've just mentioned. Your Honor, I've explained to the two sureties their obligations in terms of the bail guidelines which govern this court, and they have accepted to stand surety for A3 and make sure that he attends this court as and when required. I wish on his behalf to pray that this court be pleased to grant him bail against those credentials and with the strength and support of those two very able sureties I have presented to the court. I so pray, Your Honor.
The surety, Your Honor, there is no requirement to demonstrate closeness to the applicant. Your Honor, we submit that this court has guidelines that govern bail applications. In addition to the provisions of Section 77 of the Magistrates Courts Act. And the guidelines are meant to ensure that sureties demonstrate the capacity to compare the applicant returned to court for his trial, among others. Your Honor, the applicant himself has filed a letter of introduction from what has been submitted as his area LC. Dated the 6th of April 2023. The letter is not addressed to this court, it is to whom it may concern. And the purpose does not speak to his suitability for purposes of this application. The author of the letter, Your Worship, is not sufficiently described as the letter is only signed without proper names of the author. It is, Your Honor, even more worrying especially, Your Honor, where the particulars on the national ID of the applicant present him as a resident of Manafa district, contrary to his particulars as being from Namisingwa district. But be that as it may, Your Worship, the two sureties presented in our opinion do not satisfy the conditions that the condition of suitability and we pray that the court finds them to be not substantial for the following reasons. In respect of the first surety, it is submitted that is an LC3 chairperson of Bukaweka sub-county and also a peasant farmer. Your Honor, as we submitted before, the requirement of Rule 7B, the rules of this court, it is required to demonstrate capacity, of a financial nature to meet the bail terms. It has not been submitted. As to the ability of this surety in that respect. Your Honor, LC3 chairpersons in this country are not salary earners. No evidence has been adduced in the form of bank statements or in any other form to demonstrate the competencies of this surety to meet this requirement, that requirement. In the same vein, Your Honor, the second surety presented as a retired RDC no proper source of earning has been spoken to in her respect. The letter that has been attached, Your Honor, indicates that Ms. Irene Mangali retired over 10 years ago from service as a Deputy Resident District Commissioner of Bujiri District. Your Honor, her letter of retirement from service is dated 8 July 2012. It is dated 8 July 2012. It has not been demonstrated that her service
Council also submits that the LOC letter does not indicate whether, for example, the surety is substantial. Your Honor, with due respect, the work of the LOC is to introduce the surety to the court. The role of assessing the suitability of the surety is for this court. It's not for the LOC one. Your Honor, it has also been argued that the accused's ID talks about him being a resident of Namisindwa, yet in his introduction he said to be of Manafa. Your Honor, the two districts are adjacent. One was created out of the other. So by a stroke of a pen, the people who are once in it.
You said the argument that accused ID from where?
Pardon? The ID says that he's from Namisindwa, Manafa, and his introduction is from Namisindwa. It has also been submitted that surety number 1, Mr. Warwa Tadeo, who is chairman LC3, does not earn a salary. With the highest respect to my colleague, LC3 chairperson is a salaried employee of the district local government and is on the district payroll. Finally, Your Honor, on the question of financial capability, I would like to submit with a lot of respect that this condition is being construed out of context. Uganda is a country largely of peasants. How many of them have financial muscle to be able to have bank statements to demonstrate their financial worth? And in any case, Your Honor, Naboya Michael is being charged for allegedly receiving 100 pieces of iron sheets, which were moreover recovered by police wholesale. He has no obligation to show any financial muscle. What's the cost of 100 iron sheets? It's not something that would be outside his reach as a subsistence farmer growing coffee, for which he does not need a bank account. And if all sureties were required to demonstrate financial muscle in this country, Your Honor, how many people would be approved as sureties? It's a country of peasants. It's a very unreasonable requirement, Your Honor. And
So that's a requirement of the law. Let us speak to the authorities and here and put forth their arguments and
Your Honor, it is the role of this court to administer law with a sense of justice. You administer justice in an economic context.
let's not delve so much into that.
Finally, Your Honor, I want to say this. Since the days of Wilmington versus the DPP, it's a time-honored principle of criminal law that the burden of proof lies on the prosecution. It never shifts to the accused. Whether he's applying for bail, the burden remains on the prosecution. To require that the accused proves beyond reasonable doubt that he has capacity to come and answer his trial would be to contradict this cardinal principle of criminal jurisprudence. He is innocent, so he has no burden. All he does is to state something on a balance of probabilities, and he takes the benefit of any doubt, even when it is bail application. He should never be put to strict proof of any matter which is in his favor. That's not the law, with due respect. He just says, this is my surety, I live in such a place. To ask him to demonstrate more than that would be to shift the burden of proof to him, which goes contrary to principles of criminal law. I would therefore pray that, Your Honor, you disregard the objections raised and grant this Ugandan bail on such terms that will enable him to go and rejoin his young family. I so pray.
Your Honor, we equally apply for extension of the criminal summons for A2.